Welcome to Kevin Dale Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be doing an in-depth review of the Coolcam 300X LED video light. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Dale Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. So I've done several LED light reviews over the last year, and of course that means that there's a snowball effect where more LED light companies are reaching out to me, but I love to review LED lights, and when Lishuai reached out to me to review the 300X, I said yes. So here it is, the Coolcam 300X. It's a 300 watt bicolor LED light, and if you're not sure what bicolor means, it means that you can adjust the color temperature, and that is of course important in the world of video because you can't be using your auto white balance. You need to match your white balance to the ambience of your scene, otherwise everything's gonna look weird. The Coolcam 300X is the big brother of the Coolcam 200X, and they each come in at prices respectively of $289 and $399 US. So being able to go from 2700 to 6500 Kelvin in this is welcome to videographers. And 310 watts, that is not a small number. As a matter of fact, that's enough to light you up during daylight, and I'll test that out in today's episode to see if this lives up to the specs. Speaking of this light, as we take a look at it, it's incredibly rugged. I feel like this is kind of a heavy grade aluminum, maybe steel. I'm not an expert on metal. I'll have to look that up. But it has an incredibly simple screen right here where you just have two knobs. You have your press knob, which will adjust one perimeter, and then you have your menu knob right here, which adjusts where you are in the menu. So I also want to point out that it's light. I own two other 300 watt LED lights, and both of them are heavier than this. One, of course, has a gigantic yoke on it. That's the Warrior from Photodiox. But I also have a GVM 300 watt light, and it's a bit heavier than this. So I like the fact that this is a little more compact and a little lighter. Another noteworthy feature of this light is that it does have DMX. There's these little holes right here. Those are not there for show. Those are actually to plug this into DMX if you want to use it for DMX. So if you're not familiar with that is, if you have a theatrical console and you want to tap this into a theatrical console, you can do that. And then when you use that console will control this light. Most of you who shoot video probably don't use DMX unless you're on some sort of a theatrical broadcast set. So that's it as far as the light is concerned. Here's your bicolor LED right here in the front. They also give you a power supply, and they give you this reflector, which should increase the power by at least a stop. Sometimes you can get up to 2 stops out of these. I'll have to check the specs. It's compatible with the Light Reel app. So if you type in Light Reel in the Apple or Android stores, you'll find it. And it's compatible via Bluetooth. It's controllable via Bluetooth. And so we're gonna look at that in today's episode. So let's take this guy out into the field. Let's take this guy into my studio. I'll even test him out for this shot, this static shot here in my broadcast studio. And I'll tell you what I think about this light. And yes, Lishuai did give me this product in exchange for a review. But like all of my reviews, my opinions are gonna be my own. I'm gonna be completely transparent. I'm gonna tell you what I like about this light. I'm gonna tell you what I don't like about this light. So let's get started on a review of the Coolcam 300X. We're gonna do a demonstration of both the app, and I'm gonna demonstrate to you why it's great to have a bicolor light. So I went ahead and I exposed this shot for ambience behind me. So I should be a little dark. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the Light Reel app, which you can find at all major camera app stores, Android, iOS, Apple, etc. We're gonna open it up and we are gonna go look for our fixture. So I'm gonna go look for previous fixtures. It says connection successful when I click on the 300X. So it says I am on, and I guess there's only one way to find out, and that is to put this guy into white mode and turn that intensity up. And there I am at 100%. So I should be better lit now. I am about a meter away from the light, so that should be something to keep in mind. This is at full intensity, so this is as bright as the light's gonna get. I am also going through a softbox though, because it's not a good day for hard light. It's diffused light above me, so being in a softbox is the way you want it to be. Now, I should look a little warm because I set the white balance of my camera to a cloudy day, which is what we have in front of us, is a cloudy day. So we're gonna take this up to 6,500 Kelvin. So now I am more balanced for cloudy days, and my skin tones should look more accurate in relation to the background, the ambience behind me. So just to recap, this is without it, and this is with it. And so it's emulating what we see on a cloudy day. It's diffused light lighting me up. My scene is nice and balanced, and my face is nice and balanced. Now, if it were like golden hour, first and foremost, you wouldn't be using the shoot-through umbrella, which, by the way, the shoot-through umbrella is something that you have to purchase separately. It's not something that comes with it, but you can get those on Amazon all day long for $20. But if I were to put this at 3,200 Kelvin, you'll see that my color temperature is now warmer. And now we'll put it at daylight balanced. If it were high noon out here, we would be seeing what it would look like daylight balanced. In the app, if you don't want to use variable intensity, you can just do things in increments. So 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. You also have variable color temperature as well. So on that 6,500, I'm at 2,700, and I'm roughly at 5,600. And so that's how that works. And then, as I was explaining earlier in the video, you have your slopes. So you have linear. So this is what a linear slope looks like. You have your exponential slope, which is what that looks like, the way it falls off. You have your logarithmic, which comes late. As I drop off, there it goes. And then you have your S curve, where it drops a little bit, and then it kind of moves out, and then it drops off heavily. So the way you fade the light up or down is affected by those curves. Now we move over to the effects mode. There's only 5 effects. It's not an RGB light, so there's really not a lot you can do with a bicolor light with effects, but there is a lightning effect. And right now, nothing's happening because you have to hit the play button. So I'm gonna turn my intensity up. I'm gonna set my speed to 2. And then I can even make the lightning a particular color temperature if I want. So lightning tends to be more on the cooler side. So I don't want warm lightning, I want cool lightning, which is what it's giving me. So they have things like fireworks and SOS and paparazzi and all that. So those are the effects. I'm really not buying a CCT bicolor light for the effects, but maybe if you're making a low budget movie and you need lightning coming through the window or something like that, you can do it. Now I'm gonna try out the included reflector, which should give me several stops of light brighter than what you're getting out of this shoot-through umbrella. This is what it's giving me at 1 meter. That's super bright, but that's probably the intensity you would want if it were high noon. And so that's awesome. You can put it daylight balance, which is what it's at right now. I can change that color temperature. I can also make the intensity match. So I was at 100% with the softbox. Right about here is about where I would want it. It's at about 33%. So at 1 meter, 33% is enough to light you up standing in the shade. And now one of the reasons I'm standing in the shade is quite important, and that is because this light is not IP rated and it's misting outside. So do not take this light out in the rain. You'll have a bad time. So anyway, that's the test for how this light works in an outdoor environment. Obviously, if it's gonna be bright enough for outdoor environments, it's gonna be bright enough for indoor environments like your studio. For those of you who can't be bothered to learn how to use the app, no worries, there's a very simple control on the back consisting of 2 knobs, a menu knob on the bottom, and a perimeter control knob with a click on the top. It controls all the exact same things that you see inside the app with additional controls for things like language and fan speed. So now let's check out the CoolCam 300X as a key light for a static shot in my studio. Okay, so what you're seeing right now, this is the light. This is the light in my studio being used as a static shot. And so now I'm going to take it and I'm going to integrate it in with my already existing lights. They're all daylight balanced to 5,600 Kelvin. So now you see my skin tone, you see the tones of the entire room. They seem to be just fine. There's a little bit of a glare on my guitar over there, but that's just something that I need to adjust with the positioning of the light. As I had mentioned when we did our outdoor test, I think it's perfectly fine for a static studio shot. So Now that I've had a chance to use this light, what are my thoughts about it? There's a lot to like about it. For $399, you get a very simple but very effective light. It's bright, it's bicolor. I think that the accuracy is pretty darn good. And so it matches to pretty much any brand of light. So if you mix match it with other bicolor lights and you get those color temperatures the same, your shots are going to look the same. So for that, it's a great light. Another thing that I love about this light is it utilizes a Bowens mount that makes it compatible with a galaxy of modifiers that are universally accepted by the photography and videography community. One thing I was a fan of on this light, a lot of LED light manufacturers want to give you yoke mounts, and yoke mounts add a lot of weight and bulk to the package. I found it to be quite simple to move the light forward and backward just by using that grip on the side. I find that a lot of grips on the side of lights are poorly designed. This is actually a very premium feeling grip. It's incredibly simple to operate, and I don't feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Sometimes when I'm trying to operate grips from other manufacturers' lights, I'm just kind of like, is this thing tight enough? Do I need to push a button on the side? It's just super simple. You loosen it, you move it forward, you tighten it, and it's going to stay in place. I reviewed lights that give you way too many effects, like a police light. How do you do a police light with a white light? There's no red, there's no blue, which is what you see when you see police lights. I'm glad that they didn't put that in this. I'm glad that they kept it very simple. They used effects that were only specific to a bicolor light. I have to give Lishuai credit for the fact that they gave you just two simple knobs to control the light from the back of the unit, and I got to give them props for making a very simple app, because a lot of apps out there have too many submenus. I especially see too many back panels on LED lights in my previous reviews that have too many submenus. So, very easy to use. Very powerful. I think $399 is an excellent price point. Definitely a lot to celebrate about this light, but let's talk about the few things that I think that they could improve upon. So for one, I don't like the fact that when you do a tall shot, the power supply is just kind of hanging down there. I wish that there was more of a lead on the thinner cable that could take that gigantic brick a little closer to the ground, or maybe have some sort of a Velcro system that could Velcro it to a stand. I also found that it was difficult to put an umbrella, a shoot-through umbrella, through the umbrella holder, because it would hit the screw-in for the power on the actual unit. And so I wasn't a fan of that. Another thing I dislike about this light are those foam caps that you put over the DMX ports. Unfortunately, they fell out after a day. I wish Lishuai had included tethered nitric connectors to the side of the chassis. So who should buy this light? Somebody who wants to set up a static shot no more than 2 meters away, ideally about 1 meter away, anywhere from an indoor location shot like you see right here with soft light, all the way up to outdoors at high noon from about 1 meter away with the included hard reflector. So who should avoid buying this light? People who want to take this light out into a rainstorm and a dust storm. It's not IP rated, so please don't do that. You'll electrocute yourself or you'll kill the light. Or if you need something that has RGB, you need more creative effects, more creative filters. This light doesn't have that. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. If you want it to be bright, it'll get bright. If you want it to get accurate with white balance, it'll get accurate with white balance. And if you just want some very basic effects like paparazzi and all that, it'll get you taken care of. That does it for today's episode. I thank each and every one of you for watching today. I hope you learned something. I hope you found this to be useful. I hope you found it to be helpful. If you want to purchase the Cool Cam 300X, there's a link in the description of this episode if you want to check it out. And I humbly ask you, if you do like this channel, to click the subscribe button below. And if you like my opinions about photography-related subjects or videography-related subjects, I also ask you to check out my F11 photography podcast, which can be found on all major platforms, including Apple and Spotify. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.